Larry Kudlow Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Larry Kudlow. This is the Larry Kudlow Show, and it's a great pleasure to be with you. And you can get this radio broadcast. You can live stream us over the Internet, LarryKudlowShow.com, LarryKudlowShow.com. You hear us all across the country, around the globe, throughout the solar system, including the Milky Way. And join us during the week, fabulous Fox Business Network. The name of the show is Kudlow, 4 to 5 p.m. every day, Monday through Friday, 4 to 5 p.m. every day. If you can't make it at 4, just text your favorite 9-year-old. She'll show you how to DVR the show. You'll never miss a thing. Thank you for listening. We talked about breaking news. I don't see these other media broadcasting it. Fox News is all over it. It just broke before the end of the last segment. I mean, it's really weird. It's like, is there a war going on? Does MSNBC and these other jokers know there's a war? Anyway, President Trump has canceled the Witkoff-Kushner trip to Pakistan. I'll read you from Fox News. I've told my people a little while ago they were getting ready to leave, and I said, nope, you're not making an 18-hour flight to go there. We have all the cards. They can call us anytime they want, but you're not going to be making any more 18-hour flights to sit around talking about nothing. Well, there's a good point. We've been talking about nothing earlier with Ambassador Robert O'Brien, and before that, General Jack Keane. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has reportedly already left Islamabad following talks there Saturday with the country's prime minister. That's with the Pakistan's prime minister. But they have nothing to say. I would just say this. My view, and we talked about this with General Keane, we talked about this with Ambassador O'Brien. I don't want deal-making, me personally. I don't think President Trump does either. What you need here is dictation. The United States dictates the terms of an unconditional surrender to Iran. That's what you need. There's no discussions stringing us along. And if you don't like the dictation, you may not get home that night, because that's coming too. Israel has a fabulous history of taking out leaders. I mean, remember, it's almost, you forget, the Ayatollah was killed. The Ayatollah Jr. may be killed. Who knows about that story? But the Ayatollah, who had been there for God knows how many years, and his top tier, and his second tier, and his third tier, you're now on the fourth tier, all right? And so if they don't like the dictation, there's 5 or 6 key demands that we know all about. You know, no nuclear nothing, no nuclear capabilities whatsoever. All enriched uranium must leave Iran and go to the United States. You're no more proxy terrorist state terrorism. That must come to an end. There must be complete verification, presumably by the UN, but also by the United States and its allies. And the Strait of Hormuz, they must completely vacate the Strait of Hormuz and reopen that. We know these. These have been out there for several weeks. So Iran, I don't know what Iran thinks it's going to negotiate. And President Trump will do what he has to do to finish them off. And between the military crushing and the blockade, there's no more money. No oil, no money. No trade, no money. They have no dollars, no money. They can't meet payroll. I mean, these are pragmatic things. Government employees will not be paid. The IRGC will not be paid. The other army, the regular army, will not be paid. People on the streets will not be able to buy bread in the morning or the evening. Gasoline is running out. Can't have a modern society without gasoline. They have to import their gasoline. Guess what? They're not importing anything because the blockade is succeeding. So it's only a matter of time. If we have to bomb more, fine. The third aircraft carrier group is already assembled there to assist in the blockade, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know that President Trump wants to bomb more, but if he has to, he will. This is over. End game. End game. All right. We'll go back if we get any more information on that. But basically, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, our negotiating team, good men, by the way. I know them both. I know Jared very, very, very well. But I know Steve. He's a smart guy. They're very close to the president. He's pulling him back. Let me read it to you one more time. This is off the Fox News. I've told my people a little while ago they're getting ready to leave. And I said, nope, you're not making an 18-hour flight to go there. We have all the cards. They can call us anytime they want, but you're not going to be making any more 18-hour flights to sit around talking about nothing. Boy, is that right. Good for President Trump. All right, so that's that. Now, who do we have? We have Kenny Polcari is on. Steve Forbes is on. Okay, Kenny Polcari, this is on the fly. Kenny Polcari is the chief market strategist at Sladestone Wealth, and my mentor and dear, dear friend, the great Steve Forbes, chairman and editor-in-chief of Forbes Media. Steve's latest book, Inflation, What It Is, Why It's Bad, and How to Fix It. So, gentlemen, we're going to talk about stocks and every other darn thing under the sun. Mr. Steve Forbes, what do you make of this breaking news? No 18-hour trips to Pakistan. I want dictation and unconditional surrender. Ulysses S. Grant is one of my heroes. What you thinking, Steve?
Yeah, U.S. Grant, unconditional surrender. That's how that came about as one of his first battles. And you're right. I'm glad the thing is canceled, even though our two negotiators won't get the frequent miles. But I think it's a sign that President Trump's patience is worn out, and he recognizes that Iran's playing for time. Iran figures, I'm talking about the mullahs, the murderous mullahs, are playing for time, thinking that they are going to win politically. And hopefully hostilities, sadly, will begin again and make very clear the game is over. They're not going to stall us. They're not going to play us. They're not going to get concessions where survival is a victory. That's not going to happen now. And hopefully this is a sign that President Trump realizes that. He's given them every chance. There's no way he can negotiate a deal with an evil regime. And so the sooner it's removed by the elements of the army, and I think those elements will be strengthened when they realize hostilities are resuming, the blockade is biting them, they don't have the money, the game is over, and they'll turn on the Revolutionary Guard and their local militias.
Steve Forbes, you mentioned that. I have been talking for weeks with Jack Keane and others about the regular army, the conscripts, the draftees, because they're not the crazy radical Islamists that run the Revolutionary Guard. I'm still waiting for them to show their hand. There's a lot of them. There's like 350,000 of them. They're much bigger than the Guard.
But I think that they feel that that they're going to be betrayed by the West.
Oh.
That if they are convinced that we're in this to destroy this regime, QED, no let up, no negotiation, no 20-year thing, no allowing them to have sort of a little bit of nukes or for peaceful purposes and that kind of nonsense. None of that. They will move, but they have to feel truly we're not going to pull the rug out from under them. Barack Obama did that in 2009. Unfortunately, the president has been seen as wavering, concerned about midterm elections and all that kind of thing. If they realize the game is up, they will move, but they're not going to move until they feel that they're not going to be betrayed.
I have to believe, and I don't know this, I just have to believe that somebody on our team is, in touch talking to that regular army group. I just have to believe that. It's too big to miss. But I don't know.
I'm sure we do have contacts, and certainly the Israelis have contacts.
Yeah.
But again, unfortunately, remember a few weeks back, President Trump said, we have your back. The people went into the streets. We weren't ready to move, and 30 to 40,000 got slaughtered. So, yes, I'm sure we're talking, but they have to believe this is for real. No backing out. The end game is at hand, and then they will move.
Kenny Polcari, is anything trading now? Nothing's trading, is it? Oil's not trading?
No, nothing's trading right now. Actually, let me see if oil's trading. I don't trade on the weekend, so I don't know, but let me just look real quick. No, I don't believe anything's trading at the moment.
What, I don't know what happens in the next couple of days, but we're coming to the end game. We are coming to the end game. I mean, you got to sell oil and buy stocks.
Yeah, I don't think that there's going to be this massive negative reaction in the stock market as a result of this headline that just came out. Yeah. I think mostly everybody's on the same page. Why are we wasting our time? Why do we keep going there? They just keep dragging us along, right? And so there's no progress. So I don't think the market's going to view this as a negative at all. They in fact view it as a positive that he's holding their feet to the fire and saying, listen, we're not participating. Unless you come to the table and make a deal and accept the terms that we put forward. Mm-hmm. So I actually am not on that headline. I'm not going to get nervous about what happens on Monday in terms of the market.
You know what? I think the markets have turned a corner on that.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? They don't want to string this along. Get this done. We're shutting them down one way or another. Yeah. We are turning their water off, if you will.
No, agreed. And I think honestly that investors are not going to react to every single headline. We did that for a month and a half, and we were up, we were down, we were up, we were down. And I think people are just going to sit back now and put that on the back burner. Yes, it's a concern. Yes, we understand it, but they're going to focus more on what's happening here. And this is a big week for earnings, right? There's a bunch of tech numbers coming out on Tuesday and Wednesday, so people are going to be clearly focused on that.
Give me a for instance. Who's coming out this week?
Well, so you have four of them. You got Microsoft, you got Amazon, you've got Apple on Wednesday,
right.
You've got not Tesla, you've got Meta, right? They're all coming out on Tuesday and Wednesday after the bell. And so there's going to be a lot of anticipation around AI and the CapEx spending and when are we going to start making money and all that. So I think that's going to be the focus. But after we heard from Intel on Friday, Intel completely crushed it, blew it out of the water. They took the stock up 28%. And you saw what happened in tech on Friday. Tech rallied big, up 1 point. The Nasdaq was up, nearly 1.7% on the back of that news. So this week is going to be very interesting in terms of how the algos and traders and investors react to the tech. And it'll certainly won't be so much about the earnings because they're already history. It's going to really be about, okay, what are we saying for the next 4 to 6 months? And what's the sense? Is it going to mimic Intel? Is it going to be something more concerning? So we'll see. Listen, either way, I'm not expected to be disappointed.
S&P 500, 7,165. Is that a record high? That's a record high.
Yeah, that's a record closing high, right? And while I think
so, this is better. This is pre-war high.
Yeah,
this 100%. Is a high. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. We're above where we were on February 28th, right?
Right, so
while I love it, I do think there's a little bit of euphoria kind of built into that. I think I wouldn't be surprised if we see the market kind of churn and build a base right here just above 7,000, which I think would be healthy, and then move forward from there. Because look, to your point, the big beautiful bill is coming. That's all going to start to kick in. The tax refunds are going to start to kick in. The economic data that we've seen has not been a disaster by any stretch of the imagination.
Listen, think of it this way, Kenny. All three of us on this call, me, you, Steve Forbes, we're too old to be euphoric. I don't have enough energy to be euphoric. I'm sorry. I just couldn't resist this. Let me, Steve, you're going to stay with us for Money Politics. We got a lot of work to do today. Kenny, I think you're going to get your wish. Kevin Warsh is coming into the Fed. It may not happen immediately, but he will be bringing the interest rates down while he tries to shrink the balance sheet.
Right, exactly. If he does both, if he can shrink the balance sheet, then yes, interest rates will go lower. If the balance sheet can't shrink or they won't do it, it's going to be more difficult for him to justify why they got to cut rates without shrinking the balance sheet. I think they have to do it in tandem, and I think he will.
Yeah, it's a good point because we talked about that in the economic segment with Carney and EJ. If you shrink the balance sheet, you're essentially pulling cash. If you sell bonds, you're pulling cash out of the economy. So you need to offset that with a lower interest rate. But that's what he should do. I mean, it may take time, but that's what he should do. I mean, Steve Forbes, I think the vote is going to be Wednesday in the banking committee. Bill Haggerty, Senator Haggerty, told us last night on the TV show that Tillis has no more conditions or objections now. The IG for the Federal Reserve is going to run the investigation of the cost overrun. So, that opens the door for Kevin Warsh.
It does indeed, and it's a very good face-saving thing to get the things moving forward. Of course, it raised the question, where's the IG been in the last few years when this fiasco was going on?
Yeah.
But, hey, let's get Warsh in there. He needs to make some very real model changes. And in terms of interest rates, also, he should look at the interest they're paying on bank reserves, which is much too high. And shrinking the balance sheet is good because it starts to undo the distortion that the Fed put into the financial markets when they bloated the markets, became very, very dominant. They killed the federal funds markets back in the crisis of 2008. So they've been aggrandizing power. And this will be releasing power instead of hoarding power, and that's good for free markets.
We got Kenny Polcari, Chief Market Strategist at Slate Stone Wealth, the great Steve Forbes, Chairman and Editor-in-Chief of Forbes Media. Steve's going to carry over Money in Politics at the half hour with Liz Peek and Steve Moore and myself. Kenny Polcari, best picks today. We got a minute left. The absolute best picks right now.
Oh, I got to tell you, in the technology sector, I'm going to go after Microsoft. In consumer staples, I'm going to look at like Procter & Gamble or Johnson & Johnson in that sector. Those are the two that I'm going to focus on. If you want industrials, I'm going to go for Honeywell or Caterpillar.
The economy is in better shape than people might have thought, Kenny.
I think the economy is in much better shape than people thought, and you're seeing that. Now, look, the oil issue and the price of gasoline is going to present a problem if it continues for another couple of months. But otherwise, the economy overall is in a very good place.
All right. Thank you ever so much. Ken Polcari, we appreciate it. Slate Stone Wealth. Folks, we're going to take a break. Other side of the break, Money in Politics with Steve Forbes and Liz Peek and Steve Moore. And I'm Kudlow. Please stick around.
The Larry Kudlow Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.